So I know. Listen here. This is awesome. This is one of my favorites. You know, I say this at every talk, but this really is one of my favorite workshops that we do the whole year because, man, that gut health impacts every area of your life. And what it tells me about you, that you made time to come on a middle of the week, right, on a Tuesday night, and that, number one, you're committed to your health. You're committed to taking it to the next level, more than just doing the basics, to show up somewhere at your chiropractor's office to talk about poop. You know, this is like, you know, you're ready. And I love that. And you should celebrate yourself for that and honor yourself for that. And also know and be excited that all of our Max Living offices across the country, over these 2-week time period, we're all having this gut health talk together. So really, there's over 10,000 people learning the same thing, wanting to take their health to another level. And you're part of that family. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. And on next Tuesday, we're going to do this all over again in Spanish. So we'll have a whole nother room full in Spanish. So I think that's so exciting to be able to reach multiple cultures, multiple languages, and then just knowing how far-reaching the Max Living family is across the world. Hey, we're just all a bunch of crazy people together trying to change the way people view and manage their health, and you're part of that now because you showed up, so it's official. So let's get started talking about our gut health. Now I put a notes page on your papers so you can be writing furiously, because the research shows that when you just listen to me, you have maybe a 6 to 9% chance of retaining what I say. And if you write it down, it goes up to 70 to 80% chance, even if you never read it again. So we take some notes tonight of things that you hear that are like, oh, I could use that. You have 3 ways to take notes. 1, I could use that right now. That's for me. I need to take an action step. 2, that seems a little much for me right now, but I think I can manage it in the future, so let me write it down. Or number 3, that might not be me, but my husband, my wife, my kid, my friend, my auntie, somebody needs to hear it. So write it down for them because they couldn't be here. We are recording this, so we will be able to have, by next week, the video link, and we can certainly text or send that out to you so you can send it to people that you know who are struggling with their guts, right? Now, we don't always like to talk about poop so freely, do we? But we are going to tonight. This is the time when we shine, because as many of you guys know, my previous career, I was an ICU nurse at Parkland, and there's a lot of poop there. There's a lot of poop to be changed, smelled, and so I always feel like I'm kind of getting a little bit back to my initial roots when we do this workshop, but thank God we get to finish it up with actual solutions and interventions that we can benefit from, versus what I used to do was just clean it and give you a pill for it. And so our digestive system is absolutely amazing. God knew very well what he was doing when he put together your body. You know, you started out as 2 cells, right? 2 cells came together, they made one, and then that became you as a human. That's amazing just thinking about that and nothing else. But when you start dissecting the intricacies of every part of the human body, especially the gut, I don't know how anyone thinks evolution is even possible. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm just saying, it's so amazing what the Creator put together. Within your gut gives you, second to your nervous system, your ability to heal and survive and overcome and adapt. And so when you're looking at the amazingness of your digestive system, second to your nervous system, which for my guests in the room who are not current patients, chiropractic patients here, our nervous system, we're referring to what? Patients, what's our nervous system? Some patients shout it out. Your spine. Well, your spine is that bony skeleton that surrounds the nervous system. What's inside the spine? The nerves. The nerves. This is your spine, but those yellow pieces coming out, those are your nerves. And the yellow piece is attached to another part of the body inside there. What's that called? Spinal cord. And then what's up here at top? Well, not on this guy, but on this guy. What's up here on the top? Your brain's on top. So your brain, of course, your master control organ for all human function and healing. But you might have remember me saying that you aren't built Wi-Fi. You don't have a Bluetooth signal in your body. You're a wired being. You always will be. They're never going to be able to transplant it. And so your wiring system is your brain, your spinal cord, and these nerves. Your second system that runs things is your gut. And so you've heard of that gut-brain connection before. So that might go like, you just had this gut feeling something was wrong. You just knew in there, or you're like, trust your gut. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to do. Let me just trust my gut. That could also be the Holy Spirit, but it's kind of inside your gut as well. So if you dive into it, we won't do a Bible study class right now, but it's still, because out of the belly for lives the river. Okay, anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? So see how look at that's all connected. That gut feeling is a super real thing. You have 100 million neurons inside of your gut. 500 million neurons, trillion neurons in your brain. So beside your brain, your gut is the second most populated area with nerve flow. So this is so important that we protect it and we keep it healthy. At the same time, if we don't protect our nervous system, have that evaluated and checked and taken care of, and you just only have a really good gut health, we're still just hitting a brick wall, because that master control system of the brain, spinal cord, and nerves is not able to talk to the gut. And we're going to go into that a little bit more a little bit later. So even if my guests are here who are not chiropractic patients, if you get inspired and we're talking through things, or you came in because you either came because you met us at an event, or your friend dragged you, or maybe you came voluntarily, no matter what the reason is you came here, we just want to have fun tonight. And if what we're talking about resonates with you, and you came in with something bothering you, like there's a symptom, an ailment, whether it's with your gut or something else, or multiple things, we'll have an opportunity here towards the end to look and make an appointment, or come in and meet with one of our doctors and figure out, what's the cause of that. This is the intention of the entire talk, is to find the cause and start working on the cause. It's not a gut talk where we're going to just throw a bunch of pills and therapies or surgical recommendations to manage the symptom. You can go to the medical doctor easily for that all day long. But we finally want to have a discussion about, well, what else am I going to do besides just drugs and surgery for my problems? We need to get to the root cause of that. So looking at what's within the gut, we have all those neurons with our brain talking to each other, and then you got something in there called the microbiome. Who's heard of microbiome? Say it out loud. Microbiome. This is the life, the environment within the gut where all of your bacteria live. And there's also fungus in there that's healthy, good one. Viruses in there that are healthy, that are supposed to be there. But most of it's bacteria. And the bacteria that's in your gut is supposed to be in your gut, because it's what breaks down your food. It's what helps you absorb your food, and it's what helps you eliminate your food. So the only way you get nutrients into your body is because the bacteria break it down, and then you absorb it, and you have nutrients for your cells to function. So bacteria has gotten a bad rap the past 4 years, like it's the number one public enemy. But when we're talking about our gut, it's absolutely essential. Now what's happened, and we'll break down this further down in a few minutes, but what has happened, especially during COVID, 2021, 22, a little bit into 23, but definitely those 3-year time span, was Purell was everywhere. And hand sanitizers were absolutely everywhere. Now it's died down a little bit, but it's everywhere. Like I went on vacation one time to a resort, and we got on this bus at the airport, and I couldn't get on the bus until they sprayed the hand sanitizer in my hand, and then I couldn't walk into the resort until they did it again, and then we couldn't walk into any restaurant until we did it again. So I'm like, what is happening here? Like, there's definitely no bacteria on my hands. But then that goes the opposite direction and causes a problem, because we are supposed to have some bacteria on our hand, healthy bacteria, and that's supposed to be in our gut all throughout our body. So when we spent 3 years cleaning and killing everything, it actually caused us to have a decrease in our microbiome, in the good bacteria, because all of the hand sanitizers and cleaning, it kills everything. It doesn't know good healthy bacteria versus bad pathogenic bacteria. It doesn't know that, just kills it all. So now we're having a separate epidemic of multiple people who have an imbalance of bacteria in their gut. What's the fancy word for that? Dysbiosis. So the microbiome is brilliant, and what we're going to go through tonight is all to help clean up and support the microbiome. It's the second, again, most important system of your entire body, of all of your systems, second most important system for your body to function, for you to be healthy, and for you to live the life that God fully intended for you. So we skipped that. Look, I skipped ahead. I was getting so excited. Hippocrates had said, and this is a night to bring this Hippocrates into the picture. He said that all diseases begin in the gut. Well, outside of the nervous system, where it has the more to do, what was found after Hippocrates said that, but the nervous system and the gut are the two root causes of almost all disease. You guys have heard me talk about epigenetics before, right? Epigenetics, does anyone remember what that is? Or maybe you don't want to say it because it's kind of complicated. Remember, it's that new emerging field the past 20 to 25 years that says your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. In other words, you're not a complete victim of the genes that were passed down by your family. Everything could have been passed down your family. Everybody could have had everything. And some of it may have been genetic, and it loaded your gun, so to speak. But it doesn't mean you automatically are going to have that, because what was found is that your lifestyle choices are what actually pull the trigger on your genes expressing those bad negative side effects. Isn't that cool? I think it's great. It means you have way more control than you ever thought about your health and the outcomes of your health. So doesn't that make sense that the microbiome in the gut would be one of the most important areas to put attention, energy, time, focus, learning, and care into? So when we're looking at diseases, the most common diseases, and I know you can't see that because it's a little small, so I'll read some of them out. Most common diseases that are connected with the gut frequently are almost all autoimmune disorders. Brain and cognitive decline has significant roots in poor gut health. That's like Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. There's things found in the gut that shouldn't be there, bacteria levels off that shouldn't be there, and inflammation in the gut that shouldn't be there. Cancer, fatigue and joint pain, mood disorders, learning disabilities, infertility and pregnancy complications, allergies and asthma, other kind of skin sensitivities. These are very commonly, if not completely caused, highly associated with poor gut health. Now raise your hand, just wave at me if you think maybe right now or in the past you've struggled with poor gut health. Like just wave, don't have to say what it is right now. Yeah, so like most everybody, at least 80% of Americans have a poor gut health right now. And sometimes you do and you don't even know it, and we're gonna look at some of how we can tell that. But first of all, let's do something a little fun. Let's look at our poop. Let's break it down. Let's break down our poop. Now I gave you a handy little chart of this for you to post in the bathroom. So before we go through what the poops mean, we have to first establish that you need to look at it. All right? So I have a really good friend of mine, and she literally, until I started talking to her about, what did your poop look like? Because she would tell me something was wrong or I had this one. Well, what did your poop look like? What do you mean? I don't look at it like it was dangerous. And so she taught, since she was little, that her mom taught her that's not proper. You flush the toilet before you even get up, which don't even get me started on that, because you know what happens when you flush the toilet, how many germs and bacteria comes have you seen some of the, oh God. So that's why so every time I'm even in a situation where I have to do that, I'm like squeezing really tight because I feel like it's all going to go up. You know what I mean when you flush it, because you can just see. But anyway, so she would always flush it. And so she wasn't until her 40s where she started looking at her poo-poo. So don't let that be you. If it was something that you learned was proper when you were younger, just move on, graduate from that. We need to look at it. We need to get up, look at it before you flush it, and see what's going on, because it's going to tell so much about your health looking at your poop. That's level 1, looking at it. So let's see. Can you guys see? Yes. All right, the top, we've got those little balls, and you would call them rabbit turds. That's what you call them when we're having consultations about your poop. Those little hard balls. Those separate little hard balls indicate that you are very constipated. Then we have hard balls that are stuck together. And so that also means that you're constipated. They're kind of like lumpy, like sausage type things. So it means that you're constipated with that as well. Now, before we go on, the first primary obvious reason for constipation is what? Lack of water, lack of hydration. So we'll come to that. The second most obvious reason for constipation is a poor nerve flow to your gut. So your brain is supposed to send a signal down your spinal cord and out the nerve to tell your bowels to move. It's called peristalsis. And so that's a nervous system function. So when there's a poor nerve flow to your gut, what causes that? Patience, misalignments in your spine. This is like really bad. He needs an adjustment, this guy. Really bad. But when you have a curve in your spine that's not supposed to be there, or scoliosis, or your lower back, is in the wrong alignment, and you get pinched nerves down here at the bottom, right around that sciatic nerve. Who's heard of the sciatic nerve before? Yeah, you're like, I know it, I feel it, it talks to me every day. Well, guess what? The sciatic nerve, before it goes down your behind and down your leg and yells at you, it branches off and goes to your colon, particularly the large intestine and the lower rectum area. So that's also the nerve that's responsible for communicating when you're supposed to eliminate poop. So does it make sense then, patients and guests, that if your nerves are pinched or blocked in the lower part of your spine here, yes, it can cause sciatica and back pain, but it, more importantly, is going to disrupt your bowel flow. So that's the second most important reason. Water number 1, nerve supply number 2, and microbiome dysfunction number 3, meaning imbalance of good and bad bacteria. So boy, if we have number 1 or number 2, we got a lot to work on, right? We got to work on our environment of our bacteria, we got to work on our nerve supply, and we got to drink more water. How much water should we drink a day? Anyone remember? Yes, you remembered. You know what? Last week, I had 3 people within 3 days, maybe some of you are in here. You are. But tell me how, I was going to make such and such decision. I just heard your voice in my head, Dr. Becky, and so I didn't do it. I did something else. So I'm like, I'm so proud that I have, probably because I'm on the TV all the time, every time that you come to the office, and my voice is just there blaring. But if my voice is blaring in your head and it's telling you to make a better decision for your health, then turn up the volume. That's amazing. Okay, number 3, sausage shape with cracks in the surface. That's pretty normal. Number 4, smooth, soft sausage-like, or a snake where there's not very many cracks. That's normal as well. So those are the two types you're wanting to see there when you look in the toilet. Now, is anyone willing to raise their hand and say they see a lot of that in the toilet? I do. I see a lot of that in the toilet. Okay. Huh? Yeah, you're like excited. You're like, yes. Those are good. Those are good things in the toilet, and we should have those on a regular basis. You might have heard me joke about in one of the other talks you listened to. Those are the ones where when you use the toilet paper and it's like clean. It's like nothing came on the toilet paper. Those are like beautiful, perfect poops and elimination. You're like, everything worked exactly like it was supposed to happen. But look, if you think back to the biblical days, did they have toilet paper? No. I don't think we were ever supposed to need toilet paper. It was just supposed to come right out smooth, and we didn't have anything to clean up, like pets. Like dogs, yeah. Exactly. They don't need the toilet paper. I mean, it's their unhealthy gut. If your dog needs toilet paper, you're immediately investigating, what did they eat? What do we need to do? What do we need to give them? But when you need toilet paper, or you're using 4 pieces of toilet paper because it was such a mess, you just think it's normal and move on. No, investigate yourself, just like you're going to putting time and energy into your dog. Wasn't this fun conversation? So fun. Okay, then we're going to come up to where our body's going to give us other signs. Say we have those like soft blobs, coming out with like, their edges, and they're separate, and it looks, and it maybe comes out super fat, like almost too loose and easy. And that means that you're not having enough fiber. When it's really mushy and inconsistent, not watery diarrhea, but super mushy and inconsistent, that's a sign that your gut is inflamed. And when it's lots of diarrhea that's very, very liquidy, that's a very clear sign that your gut is inflamed. Inflammation in the gut. That means that the lining of your gut is swollen. Just like if you cut your arm or something and it swelled up, that happens inside the cells of the gut. And that's not a happy situation when you have inflammation of the gut. So diarrhea gives us frequent diarrhea. Now, I'm not talking about if you ate something bad and you have diarrhea. Well, yes, I am. That does cause inflammation. But I'm talking about diarrhea that you would have outside of eating something bad, whether it's constant or it's bouts of it. All right, so what's the best position for us to be able to have a really good poop in? It's not sitting on the toilet. Yes, just like a little kid used to do. That's how you used to go poop. You didn't think about it. You have little toddlers or your kids or your grandkids, and you're like, where are you at? They're over there in the corner under the table in the squat position. And you're like, oh, they're just pooping. Don't worry about it. And you don't even give it a thought. Well, then we're supposed to still be pooping like that. But can you imagine if you would be even flexible enough to stand like that? But we're supposed to be. We are supposed to be. That's why. But anyways, now what we're going to do is we're going to get a squatty potty to help us out. Who has a squatty potty? All right. I have 2. Every bathroom has a squatty potty. And so so squatty potty is this here. It's this little bench that's designed to fit up in front of your toilet, and it raises your feet up so that your legs are going in an upward angle. And this helps to align the intestines, the large intestine and the rectum, closer to the position of though you are squatting. Boy, oh boy, can you go better. I tell you what, you don't have to push so hard. You don't have to. I went to my hairdresser last week, and I told her I was going to do this talk, and I was getting ready. I was going to get my hair done because I have this talk coming up. And she's like, I said, it's about the gut. She's like, oh, can you make sure and tell him that I got the squatty potty, and I poop so much better with it. She has Crohn's disease. And so she wanted to tell y'all that she got the squatty potty. And so you can get them at Target, you can get them on Amazon. They're like $20 or $30. Absolutely worth it. And once you get used to it, those of you with a squatty potty, tell me when you go to other places and they don't have a squatty potty, are you looking around the bathroom for something to stack up? I am. I'm like toilet paper. I'm like stacking things so I can get my knees up. If I go to a guest house or if I go to a public bathroom, I'm looking for the shortest toilet always because I am short. So when I'm in the handicap room, there's like no hope. I can't even touch the ground. You know what I mean? So you're looking for it. So this will make a huge difference. Even if you don't have constipation, just everyone should be using it to help the alignment, and you can eliminate fully and better and easier. Much less risk of hemorrhoids and having to strain so much. Okay, we good? I don't have stock in the squatty potty, but you'd think I did. But you can do it. Okay, I want to touch base now on some healthy gut foods, and then we're going to go through some unhealthy, how we're damaging our gut. And then we're going to highlight on some of the most common gut problems, and then what are the solutions and testing that we can go through to know if that's us or what we can do about it, okay? So healthy gut foods. This is a note-taking situation. All right, so number 1, we're going to go through like the top 5 or 6. So number 1 is foods that have probiotics and prebiotics in them already. So what are some probiotic foods? I mean, they're listed there, but who eats some probiotic foods? Sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, plain yogurt, not sweetened with sugar and berry, plain yogurt. Who's tried kefir before? Kefir is a fermented dairy product, and it has an acquired taste, but I encourage you to attempt to acquire it because it's so good for your GI tract. I really love to use goat milk kefir as where you try. Now, if you notice, if you go to any health food store, even Kroger now, but especially if you go to Sprouts, Whole Foods, Natural Grocers, and you look in the dairy area, you're going to see there used to be 1 bottle of kefir, like even 4 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. Now there's like 9 different kinds of kefir. So because people are finding out that, hey, I can just drink this beverage and start to heal my gut. And so because of that, though, you got to watch out because now they've thrown lots of sugar into the kefir. They've sweetened it with, all kind of to cut the bite. Well, the bite's what you want. When something has that bite to it, right, that's what's going to give you the good bacteria in the gut. So I encourage you to get a plain kefir and just try it and then put your own berries in it or stevia in it or do something yourself to it to make it a little more palatable if you want to. So kefir is a great option. Kombucha. Who's tried kombucha before? It's a fermented tea. And it's even available at the traditional grocery store now. It's so popular. You can find it sometimes even at Walmart and Kroger. But your natural growth, your health food stores will have a better variety. And there's lots of variety of kombucha. And you can make your own. If you're really into doing the homemade stuff, you can get kombucha starters and things. And this is a great option. There's lots of good bacteria in the kombucha. Has you guys use kombucha? Do you like it? Yeah. What did you say? You make kombucha? Of course you do. That's awesome. It's amazing. Where did you get your kombucha starter? How did you do it?
Somebody gave me one.
Someone gave you? That's usually how it goes. So you get a. Okay, that's awesome. Well, see, Tracy, if we want to figure out where to get your own starter for kombucha. So we all should really just start with eating some sauerkraut this weekend. I know. I see all of your face. No one has a smile. No one. Thank you. I like sauerkraut. You know what I mean? I first had sauerkraut, but when we were younger, we got the sauerkraut in the can, in the aisle. You got to upgrade now to the one in the refrigerator at least, right? But we had Reuben sandwiches. My dad used to make. Reubens are great, and that's where I'm so grateful I got introduced to sauerkraut through a Reuben or a bratwurst. Not that I recommend eating bratwurst now, but when I was a little kid, so then I liked it. But this is the way, like, the younger you're introduced to these types of foods, so if you have kids or grandkids, the younger you're introduced to the foods with the healthy probiotics in them, like the ones listed, the easier their palate can get used to it, and the better the environment of the gut. How about we go into another one? Let's go to berries. Very rich in antioxidants, and the most important reason is for the fiber content. So for the gut health, we saw those 2 pictures of the stools when means you're lacking fiber. Now, almost no American gets enough fiber in the day. Almost no one, including if you're plant-based or vegetarian. Because we still end up choosing foods that are not high in fiber most of the time. So it is important for us to try to work to get 20 to 30 grams of fiber a day, but at least most of us are getting like less than 10 is the reality of it. And the only reason we're pooping is maybe our bacteria is good, or we drink enough water, or we move around our body. But we shouldn't still sacrifice fiber. In fact, for ladies, especially if you're like coming up to perimenopause, or you're in perimenopause, or even when you're 20s and 30s and you have your estrogen too high, so your hormones are out of balance, fiber is very important to help to bring the hormones back into balance, especially estrogen hormones that are off. So it's a very important nutrient to get into the diet, and berries have one of the highest concentrations of fibers, and they're good, and they're pretty, and they have so many antioxidants for your detoxification systems. And so I'm a big fan of berries, but what's happening now, okay, let's be practical. The winter's coming, and I went to the grocery store last weekend, and I tried, it's to the point now where I actually eat a berry before I put the things in my cart. I know I haven't washed it, but if I spend $7 on berries and they're sour and I can't eat it, I'm throwing them away. You know what I'm saying? So this is the time of year I'm literally opening it up, I'm trying to make sure no one's looking at me, and I'm like popping berries in my mouth to make sure and they were disgusting. They were super sour because it's not when they're in season and they're forcing them to be ripe, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the time where we got to do some frozen. We got to get them frozen, et cetera, and then we can't, there's not a whole lot. There's some strawberries decent right now, but you know what I'm saying. But we don't want to sacrifice them the whole winter and just wait for next summer. So I did give you a resource in your handout. In this handout with the QR codes on it, the second QR code in the middle is a Max Living document that's here that's for Core and Advanced Plan approved fiber. And so it lists, this is just a snapshot of it, there's 2 pages of it, and it goes through the beans, the nuts, the seeds, and different kind of food groups, and how much fiber they have, what are the top fiber, so you can have a guide to like, well, what do I need to do to get more fiber in my diet? Because I don't want to just go and take Metamucil. You know what I'm saying? We really want to try to get our fiber from real food, or at least something that was made from real food versus only from psyllium husk, which is frequently what our Metamucils and the fiber supplements are for. I'd much rather you use it from real food. So you can take a QR code. Look, see, we upgraded. We're giving you QR codes now. So you got to save these papers. And this is you can just take a picture of it on your phone when you open the QR code and take it to the grocery store to remind you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you didn't? Oh, can we get another copy of this? Bree, the one with the QR code, and because the QR code, is it on the back? Oh, never mind, disregard. Yeah, well, I was in the habit of saving paper this talk, so I did a lot of front and back. Yep, so it's on the back of the stool chart. Hey, that's one you're going to keep anyway, right? Because you're going to start looking at it. All right, I want to know. I want you to tell me the next one. Okay, now, backup plan, sometimes it's not always feasible, depending on your lifestyle, to eat that much fiber and that much protein and that much fat and all, because we can't cook every meal every day. And this is reality. A lot of people can't cook every day all 3 meals, and we have to try to figure it out. So this is where you have your Max Greens come in. Max Greens is 18 different fruits and veggies made into a powder. There's a blurb about it on the back of your document here, where we go through the difference. This is the upgraded formula of Max Greens. And so it gives you your immune boost, supports the digestive tract because you have the antioxidants of the berries, plus you have the fiber that's naturally occurring, that's awesome to use. And then it tastes good, and it's not sweetened with sugar. It's sweetened with stevia. And so you can eat that just mix it up in water and drink it. You can put it in a shake. You can use it's a very nice snack in the middle of the day. So I'm a big fan of that one. This is actually part of your basic gut health bundle, is the Max Greens there. So great also way to start getting the fiber and healing the gut. Okay, also our next amazing food that's important for our gut health is bone broth. So who's ate bone broth before? Try it. Okay, awesome. Wow. When I used to ask that question, like maybe 2 people would eat a bone broth. They'd be like, what's that? Right? So has anyone done the bone broth cleanse before, where you do 3 to 7 days of just eating the bone broth? Dr. Jackson raised her hand real quick. She did that recently. So bone broth, you can use it in many ways, but at the end of the day, the best way to have bone broth is you make it yourself. You get the bones, we have a recipe up at the front, you get a recipe, and you go to the store, buy the ingredients, put it in the pot, and cook it for 12 to 24 hours on your own stove at home. The last time I was sharing with one of my patients to do this, she was very, very scared to leave the stove on for 24 hours while she was sleeping. And I mean, it's okay. I just leave it on.
Instant Pot does a great job.
Instant Pot is another great way. That's right. The Instant Pot, you can cut down the time of making your bone broth. Yep, you might not be able to make the large quantity as a huge stock pot, but since the time is shortened, you can make multiple pots. So if you're going to do a cleanse with it, I'll just highlight it. I didn't put the bone broth cleanse in your packet, but you can write it down. I'll share it real quick. A bone broth cleanse is a very good way to use food to start the gut healing process, and particularly when there's an inflammation in the gut. So that's basically if you have diarrhea, comes and goes, if you have reflux, bloating, stomach pain, gas, these are all very clear indications that there's inflammation and unhealthy microbiome. So an amazing first step is to use a bone broth cleanse. The intention of that is so your digestive tract can heal and relax. And you got to heal and relax by minimum of 3 days on the bone broth cleanse, and up to 7. Some people have done even 10. Where you just for those 3 days, you only eat the bone broth, like in water, drink water. There's nothing else. And there's multiple ways that you can take all the vegetables out. You can cut them up in chunks. Because it's cooked for 24 hours, you're going to immediately digest it and assimilate it. So it's not a major deal if you do that either way. But that bone broth cleanse, it will very rapidly, oh, thanks, Bree. We'll have some copies of this up at the front. This is a beef bone broth recipe and then instructions of how to use it there. So this will very rapidly decrease the inflammation in the gut. Dr. Jackson, how did you like it? What did you think? Was it hard? It's a little. Dr. Jackson says she loves it. 2 things.
I love it because of the way it made me feel afterwards.
Which was what?
At the beginning, you're not going to like it. Second thing, for the people that are thinking, oh my God, it's only liquid, like I'm not going to chew anything, like we're eating, we're chewing. One thing I would suggest is the sauerkraut. And in my head, I thought and said that the sauerkraut were going to be the noodles in my soup.
That's right. So she used sauerkraut in her.
I decided that the sauerkraut was going to be the noodles in my soup.
Yeah.
Voila! I ate the whole soup, every single batch, no problem. And So what I would do it is the sauerkraut has full of good probiotics already. So after you heat it up, that's when you put it in. So
Yeah.
you don't denature the probiotics, so you just eat it already in there. And then that way it got the chewing part done, check. And then at the same time, it was just an increase of good probiotics. So
Yeah.
really good how I felt afterwards. I always say nothing is easy, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. But honestly, something like this, the benefits outweigh
Yeah.
our mental limiting beliefs of, oh my God, I don't can eat. I mean,
It's true.
your body deserves it. It deserves a rest and digest.
Your body deserves a rest and digest, and add sauerkraut as a life hack to your bone broth cleanse.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, if we're not, just because you're doing the cleanse is like the ultimate way to use a bone broth, but it is also very good for you just to have bone broth on a regular basis, just to make, we don't make a lot of this, but back in the day, maybe when I was young, like a little, my mom would always have something, cooking on the stove, maybe that had bones in it. This was in the good old days, it was normal to make soups with bones. Now it's like, I do what? Where do I get the bone? I mean, we're totally clueless, but but you can get the bones at Sprouts now or at Natural Grocers. They already come prepackaged. Or another place called Cox Farms Market in Duncanville, they usually have the bones for the bone broth as well. I do recommend getting all organic ingredients because this is the only thing you're going to be eating for 3 days. Or whenever you do eat it, you want it to do what it's supposed to do and decrease inflammation, not put extra toxins in the body because there's pesticides and things that have been sprayed on the produce that's going into the bone broth. Now, a way to get bone broth in on a daily basis is using the bone broth protein powder. So now they've made bone broth. This became quite popular in the past maybe 5 years, where we're really finding the benefits of bone broth, but it's not always easy to make a bone broth and eat bone broth all the time. So what else can I do? So we can rotate our smoothies from our grass-fed whey protein and our bone broth protein. Or if you have digestive distress, which you probably do or you want to come here, then you can eat bone broth protein every day in one of your smoothie. That can just be the smoothie, and it's a complete meal basically when you make a smoothie with it, with like coconut milk and those frozen berries. That's amazing. Now you're getting the fiber, the antioxidant, the bone broth. It's like the gut's almost perfect food outside of a bone broth soup itself. So I know that a lot of you come to these, which I love that you learn stuff, but I also know that a lot of you come because there's a discount on the products and supplements and vitamins at workshops. And so I know you're waiting because it's 10% off of all of the different products, etc. So that's not one that's in the bundle this time, but if you haven't tried it or you need to get another one, it's a good night to be able to try that, or you can get vanilla or chocolate in the bone broth. Dr. Jackson had something else to add.
Even if it's not a discount, I just wanted to say, right now if you go to a fast food, any kind of fast food, I don't care the brand, you spend for just a regular combo, you spend between $9 and $10 with taxes included. And I'm not saying you extended the fries or extended I'm saying for a regular combo between $9 and $10. And really doesn't have the same nurture, the nutrients that your body needs. That one is creating inflammation, while this one is fighting inflammation for less than $3. Because if you divide that in 30 servings, pretty much you divide the cost for 30 servings, it's around the $3. I already did the math. So that's why
Dr. Jackson's on it from the healing journey she's been on. She knows down to the penny of what to do and what it is.
The ones that are
Yeah.
on a budget like me, this would be fighting inflammation instead
Yeah.
of adding inflammation for a good, finance-wise, it's a good one. And then it does taste good. So even for the people who are thinking, oh my God, it's not going to taste good, it actually tastes good. And it's completely substitute for a meal.
Someone else going to say something on bone broth? Okay. And then, of course, our nutrient, God's perfect food that we're supposed to have, of course, it's not food, but water. So half of our body weight in ounces, that's the answer of how much water that you're supposed to have. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water a day. What I like to see is that you start the morning off drinking at least 16 to 30 ounces of water before anything else. My coffee drinkers, I'm talking to you. I know. Oh no, she said. Oh no.
One for one.
Okay, so although there are health benefits to plain coffee or sweetened with stevia, I'm not anti-coffee. However, it is acidic, and it can stress the kidneys and the liver when it's the first thing in your body. So you got to get the liver going, get the kidneys going, get the stomach, the digestive enzymes moving, get things moving through and going and started before you have coffee or even food. So if you're 200 pounds and you're needing to drink 100 ounces of water, 100 ounces, get this size, like the Stanley Cup or the Jetty. This is 30 ounces. So a great goal is to drink this whole entire thing in the morning. I love putting fresh lemon juice in there. That's an amazing thing to put, and then it helps support the kidneys as well. You can put other things in your water, but at least that. And then, but now, if that's a lot and you're starting at 0 because you don't drink water in the morning, then just start with 16, which is like 2 cups, like half of this. Just start there, right? And is that doable? Yeah. Are we still feeling like it's not? Yes.
Can I share something that I do? Because I drink about 32 ounces every morning.
Yes, please share. Dorinda's going to share. How do you drink 32 ounces every morning?
I have a cup that I got from someone in the hospital.
Yes. Yes.
And so I think it's like 28 ounces or
Uh-huh.
something, and I fill it all the way up to the top. A lot of times the night before with water, and it's right there by my sink. So the first thing I do when I get up, I'm just watching myself in the mirror, watching it go down. Literally, because it helps me, and then I think,
Yeah.
good. Whew, I'm full. I've got about 16 ounces. And then while I'm getting ready,
Yeah, you just sip
I
it.
just keep sipping.
Yeah.
And then
It's-
before I leave out of the bathroom, I'm like, oh, yes, I got 32 ounces.
That's awesome. And have you seen those cups also on Amazon? Don't you have a cup like that, Dr. Sid, where it tells you like, way to go, keep going, almost there. Like it has writing on the cup and it's this giant jug. That can really help, right? That can really motivate you to do it.
Especially if you do it in the mirror.
Especially if you do it in the mirror.
You watch it, you just
Yeah.
watch it go down. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, you're getting it. That's awesome. Yes.
It's easier to drink room temperature water
Yes, I
than
do
it
that.
is cold water from the fridge.
It is. It is easier on your digestive system. It's actually better for your digestive system to drink more room temperature water or even a little bit warm than it is cold. I will admit I really, really love cold water, but I'm also going to share with you that it's better to drink room temperature water and it's easier to drink more of it. Yeah. So we don't get to opt out of saying I don't like water. So if I'm ever in a consultation with you and you tell me that, we aren't landing there. The plane's not landing. You can't not, like God put it on the earth. We have to have it to live. 3 days without water or more, you can die. So you have to have water. We can spice it up with lemon juice or put berries in it or infuse it in a fancy infuser with cucumber or whatever you need to do. But we need to get the water into the body. And tea does not count because it's made with water. Tea is not a substitute for the water. Okay, look now, there's another QR code here. There's another QR code on the back. It's on the bottom. It says Pure Path Catalog. I wanted to give this to you mostly for the sake of time because I don't have time tonight to go through as detailed as I want. But I do want to get you guys into the loop, bring you into the loop a little bit because it's official now. So you've started to see some of our supplements and vitamins and things changing labels. I know you've started to see them looking different. And they say Pure Path on the front now. And this is a clinician designed line only. And it's in part I mean like 80%, assisted design by Jordan Rubin. If you don't know who Jordan Rubin is, he's one of the fathers of alternative healthcare, which should be alternative because it should be the main healthcare. But he's one of the fathers of that. He wrote The Maker's Diet. He founded Ancient Nutrition, Garden of Life. He's partnered with Josh Axe. You probably know who he is or look him up real quick if you haven't. But he is part of Max Living now, and we're super excited about that. And for the past year, he's been helping and our products were already amazing before, but he's taking them to the next level with his brilliant genius mind of concoctions that he can put together. So anything that has this label on it is now updated in its formula, its absorption. And I gave you a link to the catalog so you could read more about what's happening. But one of the big differences is the production of everything is moving to regenerative organic instead of just organic, meaning the way that the soil. I don't know if you guys have studied, if you're kind of like preppers and you got your farm, you got your stuff going on, like you're ready for anything to happen in the world, you're growing your own food, et cetera, et cetera. So we're doing that, trying to figure out how to do it regeneratively. And that he moves his animals every day to a different part of his farm to make the soil the most optimum amount of nutrients and enzymes and things in the soil, and he's been doing it for years, trying to find the optimum way to rearrange all of the farm animals so that the soil is the highest quality soil and able to be used, and that's called regenerative. So now all of that process is we're very, very grateful and honored is how our products are slowly changing one by one to be made like that. So I got you that if you wanted to read more about some of the changes that are coming up with the different things, with the different products. Two last amazing great foods for your digestion is apple cider vinegar. Just taking either a shot or a diluted shot, whatever your gut can manage. Just take an apple cider. Did you use apple cider vinegar, Thaddeus? How does it help you?
Tremendously.
What did it do for you that's different?
It fights mucus.
Oh, that's true. So apple cider vinegar has properties to be able to even kill some bad bacteria and bring balance to the good and bad bacteria. I use it even to wash my toothbrush, or sometimes if you have a sore throat, you can spray it in the back of your throat and it'll kill the bad guys. If you have reflux, it's something great to help to bring the stomach acid into balance. It's overall great for your digestive system. So I strongly recommend you got to get the apple cider vinegar that has the mother in it. It'll say on it with the mother. That means it's kind of cloudy and yucky looking, but that's the good stuff in there for you. And then healthy fats. Yes.
How much would you take in a day?
Just tablespoon.
In water or just?
So it's up to the individual person. I take it in water. She puts it in her pancakes. That's a new one. Okay, is it good? You can't taste it. You can wash your hair with it too, ladies, by the way. It makes it soft, silky, and smooth. But anyways, so you can either dilute it or you can take it straight. Some people can take it straight. I dilute it. If it burns a little bit because you're just, you have inflammation and the gut lining is broken, it might burn. Then you should dilute it if that happens. And then ginger is an old tried and true amazing food to help with digestive health and the microbiome. Whether you're eating the root or ginger tea or cooking with ginger, etc. Now I did add you another resource here on your QR code page. You have this link here directly to an awesome template or a document called the Max Living Nutrition Plans. Now for my patients, you got a white folder. Raise your hand if you got a white folder, and there's booklets, and I know you're barely raising your hand because you have it, but you didn't open it yet. And I get it, I know how that goes. So if you already have the resources, you literally already have them, that you paid for them. So get them and open the folder, and those little booklets in there are power-packed with nutrition, the Max Living Nutrition Plans, and how to start making different choices. Then in addition to that, we can use this nutrition plans, which breaks down the difference between the advanced plan and the core plan. And we'll come back to that in a minute. But if you haven't gotten this document at another talk, use that QR code and get that. It's beautiful summary. You can take it to the grocery store. You can use it as a resource. It's really awesome. Also, something new that I wanted to share with you guys today. These are my friends, Dr. Kat and Keith, and they're sitting back there in the children's area. If you just want to wave, she has a white hat on. Just wave, please. You're trying to hide in the back. It's not happening. And so they just came out with this new book. It's called Cooking to Heal, and it's like a couple's devotional in addition to a cookbook. And I just got it. I bought it myself yesterday, and the recipes all are Max Living approved, either core plan, and most of them are advanced plan, which means they can help heal your gut and support gut healing. So this is the QR code. I don't have it on your page. You actually got to take a picture of this one if you want to go look and research that more and get it. And then we're going to have them at some other events and maybe at our upcoming recipe night. I was thinking maybe we could use some of those. And so this is a really, really awesome. I'm going to start making the recipes this weekend, which I was grateful because then I don't have to meal prep, right? So that's Cooking to Heal. Thank you guys for making that. And it's a really awesome couples devotional that goes with it if you wanted to do both at the same time. Praise the Lord and cook and pick a recipe all together. Did we get it? Way to go, though, trying to get the QR code. I'm really proud of you guys. I was concerned, do we still need to have everything printed out? But really proud of you. Okay, we good? Not yet. Me? Oh, I need to step over? I need to move over. Me? Okay, we got it. Okay. Now, as we transition briefly into the types of foods that are destroying us, I'm going to play a short video. This video recently came out. It's very powerful. It's 4.5 minutes. Can you give me 4.5 minutes? Well, we're not done after that, but I'm just. But I want you to pay attention because it's stuff that you know, but just listen to how it's presented here. And I don't know if you had seen it yet, but let me get here and open it up if you haven't seen it before.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way until the early 1990s. Our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears.
Any of it in your pantry?
Everyone knows that these are junk
Just
foods,
saying.
so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tatrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know
This is
that
so
this
scary.
dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers
From the road to
began
the
using it
food.
to cover up the discoloration of low quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins, which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like this to talk about Red 40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That's never been studied. If we took all of these chemicals out, our nation would get healthier immediately. We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other.
So, isn't that crazy? It's very disturbing. It's set up, he says. It could be, I think it's a setup too, but regardless, this has been going on for years with food contaminations and toxins in it, and you have to wonder, you don't have to wonder, you know, it's part of the disaster that our gut health has come to in the country. And so when we're looking at things and making better choices with our health, absolutely getting rid of the chemicals and using the organic versions and things becomes very important in all of our choices with our health. You know, I don't know if anyone heard about what happened with the Kellogg's recently. Did you guys hear about that? I'll share it with everyone. So if you've studied natural health in any way, you might have heard of a lady called the Food Babe, and she was really just a popular voice in sharing healthier options and calling out some of the dysfunction going on in the FDA and mainstream food. And so the Food Babe, so she started a petition. She gathered 450,000 signatures about people wanting to take it to Kellogg's cereal company. And Kellogg's cereal company is one of the #1 companies that uses a lot of chemicals to color the foods, like Fruit Loops and things. And so 10 years ago, there was already a lawsuit against Kellogg's to remove the dyes from it and use natural. Well, over the past 10 years, they did do it in every country except for United States. And so she went to speak to the Congress or something, and then she had all these petitions, and she was showing the compare side-by-side labels of Fruit Loops from Europe and then from the United States. And in other countries, they use like beet to make it red and turmeric to make it yellow and natural food. But then if you look at ours, it's red dye number 40, yellow number 30, yellow, and all the chemicals in it. And so she's like, why did we not change in the United States? So 450,000 signatures, they take it to Kellogg's last week. There's 1,000 people, including Dr. Jock Sass, Jordan Rubin, going, Food Babe, like famous people who speak on natural health, go to the Kellogg's. And they're out in front and they're picketing, and she has this giant box of 500,000 signatures, and they don't let her in the door. And they sent the security guard out from Kellogg's to tell her, I'm going to take these and I'll get them to where they need to be. And they didn't let her in. And so, of course, it was all camera, and you can look it up and watch the video of her, and she stood outside of it and gave like a 20-minute, very powerful speech, you know, to everyone about like what happened and that they didn't let her in. And then it was really sad because she said there was somebody in the window of the Kellogg's building that held up a sign to the 1,000 people out front that said, "Get off our lawn." And so that was really disturbing because even the people inside of the Kellogg's company there in the United States are fooled. They think that's the right thing, and it's so disturbing though. And so anyways, I think it's cool that this stuff is coming out, that it's coming, you know, it's not hidden anymore, it's widely accepted, and it's only a matter of time until the scales turn. It's called The Tipping Point. Study it, read the book about it, and we're really, really close to it happening. But in our meantime, things that we can just quickly choose, I'll just run through them to like decrease and heal our gut is gluten. Gluten is a disaster to the gut in almost all humans, because the way that gluten now and wheat is now grown is not anything like what it used to be 100 years ago. We would be able to eat gluten and wheat and things 100 years ago, and most people would be fine. Only people with severe celiac or hereditary conditions might. But now, because of the quality and the way that it's grown and how they've genetically modified almost all wheat in this country and most of the world, now the gluten molecule itself has become very dangerous to the microbiome. So it throws off the microbiome and the good and bad bacteria balance and causes inflammation in most people. So even if you're on the core plan, and you're not necessarily avoiding all breads and carbohydrates, it's still a good idea to have as gluten-free as possible on the majority. Isn't it interesting, though, if anyone's traveled to Europe and ate pasta and bread or things in Europe, and you're like, fine. You're like, I don't even have a bloat, I don't have a belt, like nothing, I didn't fart, like nothing happened. I was totally fine. You know what I'm saying? Because of the quality of the food that's happening, even the gluten itself. So in the United States, I don't recommend eating a whole lot of gluten, and damaged fats are also, like, I'm so happy it's becoming popular with seed oils. And you might have heard, who's heard about seed oils lately, like read about it, pop through your feed or something. And finally, we're calling out like the bad oils, the vegetable oils, the canola oils, the Criscos, that these things cause inflammation. They damage the lining of the gut. They lead to leaky gut. And so those are bad fats. So like, for example, you can make fried chicken at home using coconut oil or avocado oil. Even if you use flour, just changing the oil would still be better than having like the KFC or the oils that are the toxic oils that things are made in. You know, McDonald's, I think it was up until 1990 or 1992, McDonald's, to cook its fries, they use like beef tallow. This is like just a naturally occurring fat from cows. It's not super toxic. And so when I heard that, I thought, well, I ate a lot of McDonald's when I was little because we didn't know any better. So I thought, well, it didn't probably do as much to me as it does to people now who are eating it when it's not. So, I mean, but what's so hard? Like, bring it back. Let's just start using that again. Why don't they want to do that? Because of money. Because they can do it way cheaper, and maybe other reasons that, like Thaddeus said, that being a setup. But anyways, we're moving on. Then sugar and artificial sweeteners is also very damaging to the digestive tract. If you're here and you have digestive symptoms that we're trying to get some remedies for, removing sugar and artificial sweeteners is an absolute. Artificial sweeteners is a non-negotiable. Sometimes you have negotiables. Like, I don't recommend eating shellfish or pork because I don't believe that humans are supposed to eat pork because of what it says in the Bible, number one. But however, if you can have something that you eat on a vacation meal, if you have, shrimp or pork on a vacation meal or something, but then there are those non-negotiables. And that's like, it is chemical, it's poison, don't put it in the body, don't donate it to the homeless shelter, just throw it in the garbage, get rid of it. Artificial sweeteners are one of those. Those are things like aspartame, sucralose, you've heard Splenda, Sweet and Low, any colored sugar packet on the table is completely damaging. It will destroy the lining of the gut and create leaky gut. I'm going to show you an image of that in just a minute, and it will destroy the good bacteria in the gut. And now you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, and you have leaky gut. And stevia is a great option. That's a natural sweetener. Stevia is, monk fruit is, xylitol, erythritol, those are certainly better than artificial sweeteners. Some people have digestive upset to the sugar alcohols. Some people don't. You don't know if it's you until you try it. Am I forgetting one? So agave, I don't use agave. So it's better than Sweet and Low. All right, so good, better, best. But if we're trying to decrease our glycemic load, which means our sugar content, to heal inflammation, unfortunately, agave does have a high sugar load. And so honey does the same. So honey has a lower than agave. So if we're on the advanced nutrition plan where we're really needing to heal that gut lining or reverse a different disease or deal with something that's been hurting us for a long time or get off of a medication, then we pause honey as well temporarily. It's for a time, not for life. But it does have a higher glycemic load. So on that advanced plan where we're eliminating sugar, it does include honey, and it includes high sugary fruits for a while. Not forever, but for anywhere from 30 days to 6 months, depending on your situation and how severe it is, until you've healed whatever it is you're looking to heal. And so, and you'll see when you use the QR code for the Max Living Nutrition Plans, under the advanced plan, it's going to list the fruits that are going to be supporting the advanced plan and decreasing that inflammation. And it's just berries and Granny Smith apples. So we pause on. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry, but alcohol is also no good for the gut. It's not. It turns into sugar in the gut, and it can create inflammation. It can create hyperpermeability. That means that leaky gut, basically, is what it means. Especially when you're having like a lot of alcohol every single day. It does, I'm sorry, also include wine. even though there are some other tested benefits of wine, wine is still an alcohol and it still will break down. If you're dealing with gut issues in the process of healing the gut, then we just pause on even our glass of wine. Maybe not forever, but during that time. Did you have a question, or did I just answer it? Okay. Conventional meats is also a disaster for our gut. By conventional meat, I mean not grass-fed beef. All right, what are some healthier meat options that we would choose if you've been living this lifestyle already? Shout something out.
Wild-caught fish.
Wild-caught fish, not farm-raised fish. Wild-caught means the fish was, what, caught in its natural environment swimming around wild, not in a big vat where there's a million other fish where there's antibiotics poured into the water. How about our chickens? Free-range, pasture-raised chicken, pasture-raised eggs, free-range chicken. Where they're out roaming in their natural habitat, eating their natural food. Not if you watch some of those documentaries on Netflix about chickens, I didn't eat chicken for a year after I watched one of these ones on Netflix. When I think they were in a secret camera in Tyson, and they had all of these, where they had all like million chickens, I think, all in the same little, and they stood right here their whole life. And they were like bleeding, some of them, because they were like sick, and it was gross. And they have to put antibiotics in all the feed. They put hormones in it, so the chicken gets fat fast, so they can make more money. Well, what was injected into them or what they ate, you're eating. It doesn't skip you. And so this is why we want to opt for the healthier chickens and then the grass-fed meats, where the cow is actually eating the grass versus eating corn. Because the biggest way that corn is used in the country is for cattle, not for you. Yeah, and for feed. Yeah, it's for feed for things. And corn is highly inflammatory. Maybe 100 years ago, corn was healthier for you, but now it's genetically modified, even the organic corn. They even have done studies that nobody can prove there's even a non-GMO corn, even when it says non-GMO or organic. It still has been modified so deeply, the root seed of the corn seeds, that you can't even find one. And you'll notice, because when you eat corn, you poop corn. You see it come out, you don't break it down. You physically can't break down the type of corn anymore that we even serve. So corn is highly inflammatory, and then when it's fed to our animals, and then we eat the animals, we eat what they ate. We digest and assimilate what they ate, okay? Okay, so we're done with the bad stuff. Okay, can we move? Now, I had this, I think this is a great book. This is a new book that's out, Good Energy. Write it down, look it up. Casey Means. She's a Stanford medical doctor who left the profession as a surgeon and is now preaching the word about this that we're talking about right now tonight. She's become well known recently. This is an awesome book. She goes into many deep things in this book about food, the quality of food, how to make better choices, and some of the things are mind-blowing. And she has 3 pages in here. I'm just going to read you a line real quick just from this book about processed foods. I said we were done with the bad stuff, but I forgot to read you this because I really wanted to read you this. So one of the worst kind of food we can eat is that for our gut is processed food. You know that? Ultra-processed foods are created in industrial factories by combining various extracted and adulterated parts from different foods with synthetic ingredients like preservatives and food colorings. These are frankenfoods you should never eat and never give to your children. And these foods comprise the vast majority of the calories we eat today in America. They should be 0% of our diet. And then she goes through and lists all of the companies and foods that she has studied that ultra-process their food like this. And it will blow your flippin' mind, because there are things on here that you don't think should be on here. I'm going to read some of them to you. Ocean Spray juice. This is beverages. Sunny D juice, Red Bull, Nestle Coffee Mate, Silk non-dairy milks, Nesquik, Horizon, strawberry milk. That's an organic brand, Horizon. Fruit flavored drinks, Capri Sun, Gatorade, Arizona tea, Coke, Diet Coke, Dasani water drops, Hawaiian Punch, Slurpees, Pillsbury Foods, Betty Crocker Foods, Snickers, Chips Ahoy, Oreos, Krispy Kreme, Eggo, Wonder Bread, Cinnabon, Pillsbury, Twinkies, Honey Maid, Nature's Valley, So Sorry, Quaker, Kellogg's, we already know Kellogg's, Fruit Loops, Pop-Tarts, Go-Gurt, Kraft Singles, Eagle Brand, Cool Whip, Ready Whip. Are we getting sad yet? Are we McDonald's, Oscar Mayer, Nathan's Famous, Chef Boyardee, Jimmy Dean, Oscar Mayer, Jack Links, on and on and on and on. And there's there's 2 pages of this. Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup, Lipton Noodle Soup, McCormick Spices, Nutella. Sorry, I know. And anyways, it goes on and on just through it. But it's very enlightening. If you want a resource to help take you to the next level in these things, this is a really great book to be able to do that, and watching some of her interviews on there. Now, let's say one thing that's, we can't go to our concluding interventions without stating the obvious, that we sit down more than we ever have. We don't move our bodies. Even when you're retired, most of you are still sitting down the majority of the day, whether you're on TV, at a computer, in the car. We go from one seat to a different kind of seat to a different kind of seat, and we're sitting down all day. When we sit down and all day and we're not moving our body, your gut slows down. The digestive tract, that peristalsis, that word that means your natural contractions that move through the muscles of the gut, peristalsis slows down when you're not moving, and especially when you're sitting. So this sitting position here, what's also happening in the sitting position, you guys already know, when you sit down, your lower back is going in a straight line. And my patients know that this should naturally be in an arc like this. This is the right alignment of the spinal cord. But when you sit down and you stay there for a while, you get stuck like this, straight, on the lower back. This damages the spinal cord and the nerve roots. And so do you think the brain's going to be able to send a great signal over here to the colon to tell it to eliminate properly when there's damage to the nerve roots and the spinal cord on the lower back from sitting for years at work? No. And so that's the first problem why the gut slows down and you can't poop. Honestly, probably most people who struggle with constipation, if you just started walking 30 minutes a day, you would see either all of it or half of it clear up just by walking 30 minutes a day. So can we just raise our hand if we need to get a little more exercise in our life? We know we need to get some. And some of us, it might just start with walking. It just might. That's okay. If we've already got walking under our belt and we're doing good, then we can start adding like weightlifting. Because when you weightlift, you'll build muscle. And when you build muscle, that helps your metabolism. When your metabolism is better, your things are moving through your digestive tract better and easier. And so there's a cascade of events that happen, but if especially for my ladies who are approaching like 40s, 50s, 60s, weight training is the one thing that's going to keep you from breaking a hip, from falling down, from not being able to squat. It's going to keep you, you're going to have to, maybe you don't have to use a squatty potty. You can do a deep squat all the way down. Weight training is the one way that's going to keep you healthy in that way. It also helps your body to continue burning fat and, helps balance the hormones. So many amazing benefits to weight training. If you are already not getting the motivation to exercise, this lady right here, raise your hand please. This is Chandra. Chandra's our personal trainer, and she runs an exercise class here in the office for our patients. It's called Max T3. It's 25 minutes, Tuesday nights. Several of you in the room here come to her classes. She modifies it according to different needs of whoever's in the room. But it's an amazing way and a great group, accountability group. She's an amazing lady and leader, and she'll do personal stuff on the side. But I strongly, if you're not already in a routine, just show up on a Tuesday night at 6:30 here to the office in some workout clothes and just try it out and just see how it goes. So that's awesome. Okay, let's go into our wrap up. So I want to go through, and here we're going to look at the digestive system. So you have many parts of the digestive system. It's really just one long tube. You know that? It starts in your mouth and ends on your behind. It's a train. It's a train. It's just one long tube. So that tube, first of all, starts from the top right, from your stomach. So your food comes into your stomach. Now your stomach is supposed to be acidic. It's supposed to have a pH of 3 or less. That means it's acidic. It's supposed to be like that because that's the first place when you receive food, etc., and it starts to break it down. So you're not pooping full food. So you with me? When there is a disruption in the pH of the stomach, or there's inflammation in the stomach, or there's ulcers in the stomach, then you start getting the symptoms that are going to pop up here, which is acid reflux, indigestion, and bloating. Then the food will go through the stomach. Okay, now as it's passing through the stomach, the liver's doing its job, the gallbladder is doing its job, and the pancreas is doing its job. So what do those do? Well, if the liver is sluggish and stressed, you're going to frequently feel things like bloating, belching, and your stool might float. Floating stool is not breaking down and digesting things properly. Where does the digestive process start? In your mouth. As soon as you put something in your mouth, digestive enzymes in your mouth start secreting. Amylase is one of them. This is why I don't recommend chewing gum. Because even when you chew gum, your brain, when you're chewing something, your brain tells your mouth to start secreting enzymes. And then if you don't swallow your gum, hopefully, it doesn't go down, and then you have enzymes secreting, but then you have no food to break down, and that throws the balance of the pH and the bacteria in it. So I'm not a fan of chewing gum really ever. Like use a mint or something else because at least you're going to swallow something. Then if you if you have your pancreas is next, that yellow bubbly part, your pancreas is what's controlling your blood sugar, right? Is this too much science for us? Are we okay? Okay, I'm not going to get super deep, but just enough, right? Your pancreas controls your blood sugar. You know, if you get diabetes, then your pancreas isn't working properly. If you're on your way, so that's what's controlling your blood sugar, and it's also controlling the secretion of enzymes that go to the stomach and help break down food. So if you don't have a strong pancreas, it doesn't mean you have diabetes already, but it means you probably have insulin resistance. And so when the pancreas is sluggish, now you can see diarrhea frequently. You can see the stool sinks, but then when you flush, you got some reminder that it was there. Little streaks at the bottom of the toilet. Skid marks. That's what it is. That means that your body didn't break down the protein very well. And so the stool is so heavy and dense and sticky that it goes to the bottom and there's not enough toilet water pressure to get it off the bottom. So that's a sign that if that happens to you. So most of the time, because we need support with our digestive process. Then we have the small intestine, which is the longest part up in here. And that's where their food goes through and you start absorbing the vitamins and minerals from them. And that's what helps your cellular activity and your mitochondria. It helps you have all the nutrients and vitamins that you need to live. But when the small intestine has either too much or too little bacteria in it, then you're going to get other things like bloating, gas, skin, rashes, allergies, fatigue, mood swings, mood changes. There's several diagnoses and things that your doctors would just write off and don't take seriously that are very clear signs that the small intestine has an imbalance. And this is the most common area. This and the large intestine are the two most common areas for the gut health to be compromised. After the food has been already broken down by the enzymes and absorbed what you needed to, then it sends it out the large intestine, which is this outer rim here. And the large intestine is where you're continuing to absorb the rest of the water, etc., and it's breaking it down, getting it ready to be poop. But if there's a problem with the environment of the large intestine, then you'll see things like gas and diarrhea and bloating, because that's where the food, if it goes too slow through there, it's going to ferment. You know what? We talked about earlier, fermented foods that are good for you, but what's not good for you is when feces stay where they shouldn't stay too long and they become rotten. That's called, they ferment. Well, when something ferments, it produces gas. And so therefore bloating and farting. We can talk about it freely. And now if the fart smells bad, your farts should not smell bad. Number one, you should fart because we all do have some amount of gas. And if you never fart, you would die. So you do fart. Everyone farts. Even if you don't tell each other you fart, you do fart. So you do. You're welcome. You do. But it should be non-smelly gas. That's healthy farts. When it's smelly gas, it's been in there too long fermenting. So that means you have to change what you put in there, and you have to change the environment that's breaking it down, meaning it didn't get broken down properly here. So now you have too big of food over here that's fermenting. And then you have to be concerned about your nerve supply from your brain. Is my nerve supply talking to that to move it through? 3 areas. So that was a lot, but did you follow? It's important to know. You got to know. You got to know how your digestive system works, right? We got to be empowered and understand, well, why am I going to take an action step if I don't even know what part of my body I'm doing it for? By the way, you'll quit within a week of doing anything. So we went through several symptoms. The most common that will apply to most of us or your family members here, number 1 would be reflux. Who struggled with in the past or now acid reflux? Okay, and that's usually a lot of people who raise their hand for that. So if you haven't, that's congratulations. But if you have, that's when you get kind of that burning sensation that comes up, either stays down here on your esophagus or it kind of comes up high. So when you get reflux usually, what does the doctor give you? Or what do you go to Walgreens and take? Antacid. Got to take an antacid. Because we think it's burning, it's acid, I have too much acid, I need to take an antacid so I can reduce the acid. So that's actually the mechanism of like Nexium and Prilosec. It works to signal to the enzymes in the stomach to produce less acid. What did we say the stomach is supposed to be? Acidic. It's supposed to be pH of 3 or less. If you're constantly taking an antacid, whether it's over the counter or certainly prescription, and it's telling your enzymes to stop producing acid, what's going to happen to the pH of your stomach? Is it going to get more acidic or less acidic? It's going to get less acidic. This is a disaster. Sorry, there's a bug right there. This is a disaster because now you can't break down the food properly. And the cascade of signals that happen after that you're supposed to break it down throughout, well, it's not, the whole system is broken. But they still continue to give you antacid, antacid, antacid. Sometimes you have 2, 3, or 4 of them. You guys remember this? I may have shared my own experience when I hurt my back when I was an ICU nurse. I hurt my back. Excuse me, and it took a year of going to different doctors to figure out what was wrong with my back, but because my back, I was having to take 2,000 milligrams or more of Advil every day to get through my shift at the hospital, and then that combined with the fact that back then, my eyes were not opened yet to a different way of eating, so now I had acid reflux. I had my whole medicine cabinet, all 3 shelves, were all the antacids, like the whole aisle of Walgreens was in my cupboard. And I would have to take 2 or 3 of them at the same time. The purple pill, the one day, Zantac later, another thing later, and I was taking all of them. I'm like in my mid-20s. That's not supposed to happen to anybody, let alone in your mid-20s, right? And so I did that for so many years that still to this day, I'm having to heal my gut. It caused so much damage to my stomach and my small intestine by messing up the pH in there for so many years. I didn't know. I didn't know. That's what I thought you're supposed to do. I literally am still working to repair it, testing protocol. I still do it to this day. So and that's the reality actually, that some of you have been on that stuff for years, 10, 20 years you've been on it. So how are we going to get off of it? Well, we do need to get off of it. We have to go through the process to heal the gut so that we can get off of it safely, because you generally cannot just stop it. Because if you just stop it, then the acid's going to come back with like a surge, and then it will burn, and you'll have the symptoms worse. So there's a process that you have to go through to get to that point. We can get there. It just takes several months to be able to do it. So that's what an antacid's really doing. Here's what happens. This is your stomach. Those of you who take antacids or your family member does, you see this little closure right here? Yeah. There's a valve there. It's called a sphincter. And it's where the muscle gets really tight and it creates like a valve that can open and close. Now that's supposed to stay closed. You eat, your food goes in, and it closes. Acid reflux happens when that opens and the acid and the stomach contents go up it. That's what's happening. But what controls whether it opens or closes? The pH of your stomach. So if there's enough acid in your stomach and it's 3 or less, That is what signals this to stay closed. When there's not enough acid in your stomach and it's getting over 3, the signal's broken and it doesn't hold it closed and it can open, and then that's where the reflux comes up. You see how that goes? So everything you taught about antacids and reflux most of the time is totally backwards. It's not even right. You need more acid in your stomach. This is where you might have to take things, not antacids, but like something called betaine HCl. We have that usually. You don't have it right here tonight, but betaine HCl. It's derived from beets anyways. It's a form that will help put more acidity in the stomach. So we take those types of things. Apple cider vinegar can help. Sometimes it's not enough if you've been on these medications for so long. We have to add the betaine HCl in there. Different causes of the decreased stomach acid is taking the medications themselves. That's the number one reason. Birth control and antibiotics. Well, let's hang there for just a moment. So who's taken an antibiotic at one point in their life? Raise your hand. Everybody has. Everybody has, you know. And but they hand them out like candy. I mean, you got a stomach ache, you got one nose stuffy, not even the other one, here's an antibiotic, you know. I'm getting a headache, I got a fever of 0.5, take an antibiotic. Like you're getting antibiotics for everything. If you have something and your doctor tells you need to take an antibiotic, please ask one of our doctors first. Just even if it's a text, just ask us first, because more than half the time, there's a natural remedy that you can do that will heal it in the same amount of time as taking an antibiotic. So there's a time and a place, and I get it, and there is. But unfortunately, when we take them, antibiotic is what? Anti-life. It's the purpose of it is what? To kill the bad bacteria. But does an antibiotic smart enough to know to leave the good bacteria and kill the bad bacteria? No, it kills all of it. And so when we're exposed to these over and over, especially when we're very young, developing our microbiome, then it throws off the entire stomach environment, and then you end up getting predisposed to reflux. Refined carbohydrates, stress, vitamin B and zinc deficiencies can cause it. Excuse me, gastric bypass surgery can cause it, and then just being older at the age of 65, you can tend to have a higher stomach pH, and we need to modify our diet so that we can keep a natural level of pH in the stomach. Make sense? Who knew that? This is new information. So a couple of natural solutions we talked about. Using apple cider vinegar can definitely help that. Using digestive enzymes, and then using the advanced plan where we're eliminating sugar and the refined carbohydrates. Now, in the digestive enzymes, if we go back to our picture of the whole digestive tract for a second, here we go. So if the pancreas is weak, if the gallbladder is weak, what's the gallbladder's job? Give you bile, which does what? Breaks down fat. That's the purpose of it. So does anyone not have their gallbladder anymore? Yeah, see, that's like 20% of the room doesn't have their gallbladder anymore. Because they think, oh, you have a symptom, just take it out. Just remove the organ. That's our first thing. The problem with that organ, just take it out. Problem with your uterus, just remove it. Appendix, we don't need it. Let's just take out the organ. What is happening? God didn't give us any spare parts. All of our organs have a purpose. I mean, unless you're in a medical emergency, that I get it. But if we just have symptoms, goodness, let's look and figure out how we can heal it naturally and potentially avoid having an organ removed out of our body. It is going to affect the body. It is to have any organ removed. The gallbladder especially. So our gallbladder breaks down fat. If you don't have a gallbladder, or your gallbladder is full of stones, or it's sluggish, you're going to eat fat, and what will happen? It's not going to break it down properly. So then you're going to be, number one, you could have your stool floating because there's so much fat in there, and fat floats, right? So that can happen. Or you're not going to be able to break down food properly because there's not enough bile coming out. So what are you to do? Well, if you don't have a gallbladder, your doctor should have told you, but they don't tell you. But he should have told you that you need to take a digestive enzyme with bile salts in it for the rest of your life at every large meal. You have to take bile salts. Now, our new digestive enzyme from the Pure Path, which is called Replace in the basic bundle, has bile salts in it already, and it has betaine HCl in it already. This is 3 products down to 1 digestive enzyme. Now, it's my favorite one because of that. So you take it if you don't have a gallbladder, you should take that for the rest of your life. Even if you do have a gallbladder, and you're having any of these symptoms that are coming up, it's still the digestion is sluggish and it needs help for a while. And this is when we use the digestive enzymes to help to replace the fact that you're not having enough enzymes naturally because of one of these parts is sluggish, or maybe all of them are. You with me on that? You take one digestive enzyme with your large meals, not necessarily if you have a snack, definitely a fatty meal if you have gallbladder issues, and a high protein meal if you're seeing skid marks.
I'm just saying, make sure, don't ignore what she said.
Well, thank you.
Bile's a must. There it is. I had to tell my sister and my mother
You did?
that they needed bile. I had a conversation, oh yeah, you don't have your gallbladder.
Yeah.
You need to take bile. What? I didn't know. It's like 10 years after the fact. They started taking bile, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
In their processing the food. It's huge difference.
It does. It does.
Huge.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that.
Don't take too much. Don't overdo it. 'Cause then
Well, you'll know if you're overdoing it if it's burning.
Yeah.
So if you get burning when you're taking the digestive enzymes or anything, then you back off. Take less of them. We'll let one of us know if you want to. Take less of them, or take them with a bigger meal, or eaten a little bit and then take it while you already have food in your stomach. These are different ways to be able to manage that. But you have to, because they should be telling you this. It's ridiculous that they don't even tell you this. Leaky gut has become one of the most popular digestive problems in the country because of all of the food and the toxins that we're ingesting and the level of stress that we have. Leaky gut means this. So out of the lining of your gut is one cell layer thick. One cell layer. And these are the cell layers here. And each of those parts of the lining are supposed to be touching each other. The cells, if you will. They should all be touching each other tightly together. Those are called tight junctions. They should be tight together like this. And why should they be tight? Because things are not supposed to go through here. They're supposed to go through the little fingers. And that's where you digest, where you absorb the nutrients through the fingers. You're not supposed to have space in between the cells. See what's happened here? Where there's holes and space. The lining has become damaged. That's called leaky gut. Because now not just nutrients, but toxins can leak in and out. So the little green blobs are like undigested food particles. So at the top, I went from the middle, but at the top you have stress. Toxins are the purple ones, food particles, medications, bad bacteria. All of those are floating around over here. They're not supposed to get through and come inside to the gut microbiome. But when there's leaky gut damage, then they do go through. And the longer they're going through, the more three things happen. Number one, you become allergic to the food that's passing through. That's how you get allergies developed. Or if you have an allergy test, we test several patients on allergies. I had a patient recently, his favorite food is red meat, and he was allergic to beef. Because he's eaten beef, if you know you're listening, he's going to watch the video. But because he ate beef, he ate so much beef, and in the presence of leaky gut, part of it is getting through where it's not supposed to go, and then you develop an immune response. Your immune system now has to come on track because it's like, whoa, that doesn't belong there. Foreign invader, I got to do something, and I ramp up my immune response, and then you can start getting autoimmune, and you get allergies developed for foods that you didn't have in the past, etc. And then your entire immune system starts to become weak with the leaky gut. So what are you going to do? So honestly, without even a test, 50% of the room almost certainly has leaky gut now, just because that's what the stat is, because of our food. So the best way to do it is to take a stool test, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But if you're not able to take the stool test, or you're not ready to do that just quite yet, then you can start using a protocol called the 4 R's of digestive healing. And we'll close with this. The 4 R's of digestive healing, one of those is going to be the repair stage, and this is an amazing product called GI Repair, and it is loaded with herbs and nutrient, not pharmaceuticals, of course, but different combinations of herbs and marshmallow, okra, aloe, several other components that are going to help to heal down, deregulate the immune system, and start to seal the junctions that have opened. So to basically bring them back together so they're touching and it's not a leaky gut anymore. This is phase 2 of the gut repair or the healing of the gut, called the 4 R's. But this is a very important issue to address. You're not really going to achieve the gut healing that you're working for without resealing the gut lining. It's almost impossible. It'll be like you do something, you feel better for a while, and then it comes back. And you do something, and then it comes back. That means the leaky gut was really never healed. Now, I want to tell you something. We got to let it sink in. This is not like I'm going to give you something, and in 2 weeks later, you're going to feel better like you took a pill from the doctor. When the gut has deteriorated to the point of leaky gut or IBS or these types of, it takes months to heal it. The initial protocol that I give you is not shorter than 4 months, not shorter. That's the minimum it takes to start to heal this. It's just the reality. It's just the body. If you're looking to heal, find the cause, actually get to the root issue, not take a pill for it, we just wrap our mind around the fact that it takes time and we stay with the course and the process. If you might have heard of IBS or been told you have that. All that is they don't really know what's wrong. The gut's not very healthy, and you're having diarrhea and constipation intermittently, and they both change, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, and it just comes, and it doesn't seem like you don't know why. And so they don't know what to diagnose you with. They don't have the ability to do a proper stool test, so they just tell you have irritable bowel syndrome. It's just a catch-all phrase, irritable bowel. Irritable bowel syndrome is leaky gut. That's what's happening. That's what's causing it. They just called it something else so they can give you a what? A pill or a medication for it. The other main problem that I'm seeing very often now, and this is especially applies to this group, which is called SIBO. Who's heard of it? Not many. Or SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Too much bacteria in the small intestine. Too much good bacteria. Okay, so bacteria, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. And you're supposed to have a certain balance of bacteria and a certain amount of bacteria. How could we get too much bacteria? By taking too many probiotics is one of the most common ways. I told you it applies to this room because we're all health conscious and we all wanted, so I was the first one. Because all my digestive hell that I had been through. So I'm telling you, into probiotic, I was taking all the probiotics at the same time. I mean, I was just I go 100% into whatever I'm doing right. So I'm and for years and years and years. And 3 years ago, I did the stool test that we now offer to you guys. I didn't offer before, but I do now. And I had this, SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I had to stop taking the traditional probiotics that we were, even some of the ones that I prescribed to you guys, because I already had too much. And now it was causing a different problem. And but you don't know for sure if you have SIBO unless you take the stool test, which we can get tonight for $100 off. But you can consider that you might if you have extreme bloating, if you feel really full after eating a small amount of food. And by extreme bloating, I'm talking about I would eat lunch and then I would have to change my pants to a bigger size to come back to work. Because I'm not kidding. That was the extent of the bloating, I couldn't button them or I was not comfortable. And so this is years, and you're no one tells you why. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I did the test, until I figured out, holy cow, I started figuring that out. I started my own 5-month protocol of it. 3 months into it, I had lost 16 pounds of bacteria. That's all it was. Isn't that crazy? Just because it was overgrowth. And so I had been switched to a different type of probiotic other than the one that I was on. And that was called a spore-based probiotic. And a spore-based probiotic, this is the new one that we have now, which I'm very grateful that Jordan Rubin helped us to develop. That GI Replenish is an upgraded probiotic. It's called a spore-based probiotic. That means it's just a different type of bacteria. The way that it was extracted or created, harvested, whatever you will, is different. And what it'll do is it's not going to allow you to get SIBO. It'll keep a healthy amount of bacteria in the body using the spore base instead of just pouring tons and tons and tons of probiotics in there. It'll stop. You can't overdose on it. And that's why that's amazing. I switched to it, now that's the one I take, and now this is if you notice, the one we had before, we don't even have it anymore, because it's better to use a spore base, so we're not creating SIBO, and it's also just as effective at getting rid of the bad bacteria and putting more good bacteria into the body. So this is a high level clinician line that is happening. This is not going to be found at like Sprouts or the grocery store yet, because this is a newer concept, not a concept as a fact, but it's newer to the world of natural health care. So you guys are like in the elite group now, knowing like spore-based probiotics are where it's at, and that's what you want to switch to when your current one is out. You want to upgrade it to the spore-based probiotic. So when you get a stomach ache, we don't run to antibiotics, right? But what if you did have to take an antibiotic? What if you have ever taken one, or you have to take one because something is going on, you have to take it? I had a friend who was getting an oral surgery, and they would not allow her to do the oral surgery unless she took the antibiotic. And so and I get it, sometimes, so they have to. So what are you going to do? Okay, so if you have to take an antibiotic, you're going to take this right here. So yes, but no. So the antibiotic, to counter antibiotic effects, you have to take a specific strain of bacteria, nothing to memorize, but it's Saccharomyces boulardii. And don't memorize it, but Saccharomyces boulardii if you really like science. But that particular strain is the one that is going to help the best recover from an antibiotic. And so this one here called microbiome support is only Saccharomyces boulardii. So this is not something that you take forever, like a spore-based probiotic. You take it for a month after you take an antibiotic, not while you're on it. Take the antibiotic first, finish it, then start the microbiome support. You got to do it for 30 days. If you're doing a full 4 to 5 month protocol called the 4R healing, this is included in month 1, because I'll show you in just a second why. You with me on that? So microbiome support. Just tell one of the doctors, like, hey, I had to take an antibiotic for this. I had no option. It was no choice. What do I need to do? And then we'll make sure you get that particular probiotic. And you just take it for a month. So if we just need to start somewhere, then we can start with the beginner, like the gut health beginner bundle. That's just the digestive enzymes, which we all need, especially if you don't have a gallbladder. The new probiotic for the spore base called GI Replenish, and then your Max Greens for that healthy fiber, the healthy antioxidants to start healing the gut lining. This is just basic, just to start somewhere. This one is on sale for 15% off. It's on your paper somewhere. And however, I came to the office tonight. I'm ready to go, planning all day, praying for you, preparing, get the best content, because I want you to just be really smart and just really have the best experience. And I'm like, okay, so got to set our bundles out, because I like to set all these things out for you and have it all easy to grab and easy go. And they didn't arrive in the mail. I know. Everybody sigh. I know, but mine was worse than that. So it'll arrive tomorrow. Or maybe the next day, in the next couple of days. But in order for you to be able to get the discount for it, which we do at the talk of 15% off, I had them put these at the front. These are rain checks, and they've already prepared them that say basic beginner bundle on it. And so you can still get it tonight, and then either at your next appointment or you come in later, we can get it. If you're a guest here, you can either have an appointment for yourself and come back and get it, or we can call you and let you know when to come get it, etc. We will make sure that you get it. So you can still take advantage of the sale and starting the bundle, even though it's still in the FedEx truck. So I know, okay? Okay, now let's finish up with this last point, because I've been referring to something about testing things. So if we're serious, we've struggled with gut issues for a long time. We've tried many things. It's not happening. You're on medications. I'm not getting off of them. I need to figure it out, and I want to be as specific as I possibly can. I don't want to guess. I want to test. So many of you in the room right now currently have done some functional testing with me and are already on protocols. P.S. If you're on a protocol with me already, do not buy the bundle. Only do your protocol. That was tested for you. It's very specific. We don't need to mess with it until you're done with that and we do a retest, okay? But if you haven't done any kind of testing, we're offering 4 different kind of testing, which is like functional medicine testing. These are not tests that you get at the doctor, the traditional medical doctor. In fact, if you go to the doctor trying to show them, Dr. Jaxie, I'll just let her, and she would tell you. She's been struggling with some different health issues, and she had to go to a gastroenterologist, and a medical doctor one. And she took this test into him. And he looked at it, and he's like, I don't even know what to do with this. It's just like flipping through. And he's like, I don't like these kind of tests. But thankfully, he was cool, and he didn't let the ego prevail. And he admitted, he's like, when people bring these things into me, I don't really like them because I don't know what to do with them. I don't know how to interpret it because I just work with what I work with, and I don't really work with this. And he handed it. And I was like, well, thank God, at least he was honest. You know what I'm saying? Most of them will just like, oh, you don't need to do that, or you need to do that. When you get a stool test at the regular doctor, they're checking only for cancer, blood, parasites, things that they can give a medication to or cut out. It's not analyzing the microbiome health, the bacteria levels. It's not doing this. It's not. So if you want to look at it at that level, you have to do that at a functional medicine type of practice like this one. And so it's called the GI effects stool test. It tests digestion and absorption, inflammation and immunology, the microbiome, and pathogens and parasites. Here's an example of one of mine from the past. These are the different sections that it tested for: maldigestion, inflammation, dysbiosis, metabolic imbalance, and infection. And underneath those, it checks all of these different biomarkers. There's hundreds of biomarkers that it checks for. And then it'll list over here which ones are good, medium, and bad. And when you do this, like here's this is one of the pages here on this part of the test. I know you can't see all of those, but this is where it's checking if you're digesting your food properly. So it goes through your different digestive enzymes, and it analyzes what types of things are still left over in your stool that should have been digested. And so it'll put them on a scale and measure it here where it should be. Down here at the bottom, under the inflammation and immunology, it's one of the measurements is called calprotectin. That's a measurement that's prevalent if you have colon cancer or Crohn's disease. The one where you have a lot of bloody stool, that's escaping my mind at the moment. But those types of, it could be in celiac too. But this is a marker the gastroenterologist, Dr. Jaxie, went to. At least he's like, oh, at least a check for calprotectin, great. You don't have cancer, and flipped over, like colon cancer. And so this is a very powerful marker. Eosinophil protein and fecal secretory IgA, those are telling you like if you had a bee sting to your gut. Like if you're having an inflammatory allergic reaction to something within the gut, then we need to investigate what that is. So this is just a sample of them, but this top section would be an area when that's off or not all in the green, you immediately know you need to take a digestive enzyme, and we can customize, how often and how long and what's the dose and things like that when you're looking at it. And then this is why this test is my favorite one, the stool test. It's the gold standard of stool tests in all of functional medicine world from Genova Labs. And this one is going to grow out, so it'll culture it. When you go and have a throat culture, and they like checking if you have strep throat or if bacteria grow on it, it cultures that of your stool to see if you have dangerous bacteria in the stool. That's called pathogenic, means it's going to cause a disease. And it'll list them here if you have any of those and how much of it you had. And if it ends up over here to the yellow, like this one is Klebsiella pneumonia, that's one that if you have that, it'll attack your thyroid and the joints of your spine. And then if you have that, it'll test it out that, hey, this is what you test for: yeast, candida, things. And so it'll tell you very specifically what kind of bacteria, what kind of pathogen. And then the next level is it'll take that pathogen and put it up against the prescriptive agents that are going to work for it or not. So it'll put it against actual medications like ciprofloxacin. These are antibiotics, ampicillin, tetracycline, you've heard of those before. And it breaks down and tells you if it was resistant to it or if it was susceptible to it. Imagine if you had some kind of bacteria in the stomach and they want to give you an antibiotic, and then they give you, tetracycline for something, but it was resistant to it. It's not going to kill it. They don't know that. They don't check that. So it'll tell you that. Now, of course, we don't use prescriptives for you because it also goes through and checks the natural agents, that what it's the most susceptible to. So we know which natural agent, meaning which product or compilation of herbs is going to be the most specific to kill that bad bacteria. And that's how you customize the 4Rs protocol when you're using that kind of thing. When these kind of results come in, you certainly use the full 4R protocol, which is when you're going to, phase 1 is when you got to remove the bad bacteria, so the pathogens that grew out. That makes sense? You got to kill it, the good stuff. You got to kill the bad stuff. That's why you're taking the microbiome at the same time, because you're killing bad stuff, but you do want to get a little bit of support of good ones, so you leave that one in, and that's about 1 month long. And then you do for the next 2 months the repair phase. So we have remove is the first of the 4Rs. Repair is the second of the 4Rs. Repair means we're fixing those leaky gut, those junctions that have opened up. We need to repair the lining. And that's done with the GI Repair product, which is an absolutely incredible product to do this. That's done for 2 months long. And then you use the replace at the same time, which are the digestive enzymes. So we're helping to support breaking down of the food at the same time. And then the final is you're going to use re-inoculate, or you can also say replenish, if re-inoculate's a long word for you. Does anyone know what re-inoculate means?
Shoot him again.
Shoot him again. So put them back in. So we got to put the good bacteria back in. This is where we start that spore-based probiotic, that GI replenish. We do that for a month to 2 months because we're putting it back in. We're going to put new population into the environment there. And that's called the 4Rs. They're all together there, the 4R bundle. This is the true Mac Daddy of healing the gut, is using the 4R bundle. Now, if you do the stool test, if you choose to do that, the 4R bundle will be even more specific to your testing needs. I think, yeah, I did make one of these papers here. Go to the middle paper for a second. On one side of it, it has the stool test on it. There's one of the stool tests. That's normally a $700 test. It's over $100 off for that today. And then you just can check the box if you want to get this. We do not have these in the office. We will order them, though, tomorrow whenever we receive all of these back. So you just can check the box there. And then on the other one is the other test called the Functional Health Blueprint. This is not for the stool, but if you want to do something to get a deeper dive look into multiple organ systems that the doctors are not going to check that seriously, like your thyroid deep, your hormone balance, vitamin levels, cholesterol levels, adrenal health, cortisol levels, etc., then we would use the Functional Health Blueprint. That's a very popular test right now. I have about 26 people under protocols for the Functional Health Blueprint that your medical doctors totally missed or didn't check. And so that one is on sale as well. That's regularly $4.99. That one's $3.99. There's a little example next to it. I won't go through it in detail right now. But if you want to do one or both of those, you can check it. And then at the bottom there, just write in your name at the bottom of there and your information at the bottom of there. If you want to be speedy and you want to do a test, but you don't want to wait in line, you can just write your payment information on there and turn it in, and they'll just run it for you and then have the thing to sign when you come back to pick up the test. That's fine. Or you can wait in line with one of the ladies at the front to really get that.
You got a blood test
Which one?
for the blueprint?
That's a great question. It's a blood test. You prick your finger and you collect saliva. You do it at your house. I can help you do it here as well, but it's meant to do at your house. If you are a menstruating female and you want to check the very accurate hormones, you have to do it on a certain time of your cycle. Our team can let you know that whenever you check that out. But that's very, very popular right now, and it's never reported to the health insurance company. So if you have a health insurance, that goes up when you have diagnoses or bad results, which many people do because they report it and it is accessible. Your lab results are accessible by the insurance company, FYI. And your rates go up or something, this is never reported to the insurance company. That's why insurance also doesn't pay for it, but it doesn't do that. But we can address it naturally instead of with medications or help you get off of them. Now, and this one is for the 4Rs. Now on the 4Rs, the 4Rs is a strong protocol, but I know many of you and what you're going through and you need to do it. But it's so strong that I will not just hand you a bag of them and see you later and good luck with it and let me know how it works. I don't want to do that because it's a strong protocol. It's specific. I want to give it to you personally, either myself or one of our doctors give it to you. And when we give it to you, you either say what's going on in your health that you want to take it. So we're tracking that. And then, so we know you're doing it. So we're in connection with each other. So if you have this result or you feel like this or this happens to you, we can troubleshoot and work through together. Because it's a strong protocol, it works, but it's strong. So we want to be able to walk through that with you and not just see you later and I don't even know you bought it. I made that mistake last year and I didn't like that. So I want to be able to do that. So on that one, we will order it, same situation. Just check if you want that and then fill in your name at the bottom, or you can take care of that at the front and they'll get it. We'll order them tomorrow and this will come in about a week. Okay? So those are our powerful interventions there. Now, do I have any questions about anything related to what we've talked about or that the whole room can benefit from? Yes, sir.
Just regarding the gut health basic bundle that you got.
Yeah.
Without any kind of diagnosis or anything, I mean, these are basic products that would generally improve most people's health.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're correct. You do not, I don't even need to know you to do it. Basic, healthy, safe for everybody. Even the 4 R's is safe for everybody without testing. I just want to know that you're doing it so we can work through symptoms that you have while you're killing bad bacteria. Sometimes that doesn't always feel great. So we can work with that together. So that's a great question. Yes, Tracy.
What are some symptoms of having too much good bacteria?
So like that gets into like the SIBO type. Yeah, so very bad bloating. Like you have to change your pants, feeling full quickly after a small amount of food can do that. Reflux can do it. Absolute weight loss resistance can do it because the bacteria is still there. So you can't do it. Fatigue can do it. Excuse me, brain fog, but that could be a symptom of many things. And then a lot of gas. It doesn't mean you have diarrhea or constipation. That's where you get, you can have totally normal bowel movements, but it's more of the gas that's created up, down, every direction. And then that effect, yeah. Now I do know as we finish up, did you guys learn a lot? Or did we good? Do we feel equipped? I know it was a lot of information. If you just leave doing 1 or 2 things differently tomorrow, it's been worth your time. And then read your notes, and it's later, and it's worth it later, and you get more and take yourself to the next level. I do know that I have several guests in here that are not patients. Maybe a patient brought you, or you came to an event or whatnot. If that's you, and you, first of all, before you even start on a bundle or a test, you absolutely have to check your nervous system. You have to make sure that the brain can communicate properly down the spinal cord, out the nerve, and your gut is hearing from the brain properly. And that can only be done with a proper chiropractic exam, a set of x-rays, of spinal x-rays to know, is my spinal cord free and clear, or is it blocked and pinched? I need to know that first so we can customize what direction to go with your gut health. Because you can't leave the nervous system, just ignore it. And even if you're here as a guest and you don't have a gut health problem, but something else you're struggling with your health, whether it's neck or back pain, something simple, or headaches, or something more complicated like diagnoses or medications or things, at the end of the day, patients yell it out, what system in the body controls all function and healing? Nervous system. That was not a loud enough yell. Nervous system. The nervous system, the brain. If the nervous system is not functioning well, you can tell. This is so sad. I'm so sorry, but I can't even do it. This has got to be straight up and down. It's so not. It's got to be straight up and down, and it has to have 3 curves in it from the side. This is so bad. Anyways, it has to have 3 curves in it from the side. You don't know if that's happening unless you look at an x-ray and have a proper advanced corrective chiropractic exam. You don't know. And we don't want to guess. So if you're struggling with your health, we need to figure it out. I'm ready for something. I'm ready for a different direction. Drugs are not working for me. If you had a folder, inside of your folder, you have this card right here. It's called Schedule Your First Consultation. And you are welcome to fill that out, just your name on the left side. We have appointment times that we have chosen and set aside for you guys tonight. You can select one of those. The top cost of the appointment will be $50 because your friend told you to come, and that's called Friends and Family Discount. And my two of our team doctors, Dr. Theo and maybe Dr. Sid, are going to be in the back of the room there, and they can collect these from you and schedule your appointment and then give you the new patient paperwork so you can save time when you come into your appointment. Does that sound fine? They can also answer any other kind of doctoring questions that they have about something that you're struggling with, etc. Now, if you, okay, so what do you have coming up? What's on our radar? What's on our radar? What are we doing next together? Ooh, we got 2 busy months together. Busy months. I'm excited. You're going to get a lot of text messages from us. Sorry. Please read them. Please read them. Read them. Because there's important stuff going on. And starting next week for 2 weeks, we got the food drive. Annual food. Last year we did a coat drive. This year we are doing a food drive. Cedar Hill Food Pantry. They need help. We're going to help support our community this year. Just like a regular food drive, you know. So if you haven't donated yet or you don't have somewhere to donate to, clean out the pantry of all that nasty stuff we went over. Except for the aspartame, throw that in the trash. Everything else, you can bring it here. We want to collect and get, I don't know what the goal is, but a lot of food. And then we have November 12th is our next community dinner. Community dinner, we go to Papa's Brothers Barbecue Restaurant over behind Costco. That is designed for your friend, your family, your coworker, someone you met off the street who is struggling with their health and they need to know that there's another answer. You bring them to dinner, we pay for the dinner, and I'll talk for 20 or 30 minutes while you're eating dinner about how there's another option besides just drugs and surgery. Come to the dinner as many times as you want to. And then we're bringing it back. We're bringing it back since before COVID, our holiday recipe night. I'm so excited. We're going to do that on November 20th. We'll have signups. We'll have recipes. So you're going to end up, it's going to be like a potluck, and you're going to pick your recipe, and it's going to be advanced plan or core plan recipe, holiday kind of themed. And we might be partnering with the Demps to do that as well and get some recipes out. So hopefully this is like a huge potluck. We have tons of people here and we have a lot of fun together. And then you can learn how to make holiday food healthier, right? It doesn't all have to be bad and unhealthy. So look for the sign-up sheets for that. Sound cool? Yeah. You guys are amazing. I know it's late, but you stuck through and it's going to be worth it and your life is going to be blessed. Your family's lives are going to be blessed. You guys are awesome. All of our doctors are here for a little while to ask and answer any other questions for a while. Otherwise, the team at the front can take care of your rain checks, I'm sorry, and your order forms.